Hello, English teachers. Hey, check out this kid's ESL/CLIL speaking unit. This is a topic on Spain, all about Spain. So CLIL basically means have the kid learn English while learning through a real topic like Spain, the culture of Spain and the tradition of Spain, and etc. So the way my lesson is designed is that you will see here at the bottom corner, the left-hand side corner, there are some question prompts for the teachers to use. So instead of you, the teacher, having to make up or come up with questions to talk to your kids about, follow these prompts, and this is how you kick off the lesson. And of course, if you have your own ideas or experiences that you want to share, feel free to do so. So all my lessons come with beautiful graphics because a picture tells 1,000 words. So here is just a general, just want to give you a general idea of what this lesson is like. So to start, I talk about the weather and the climate in Spain, right? What the summer feels like, blue skies, mostly no rains, and it's hot and sunny. And then I also talk about winter as well, but it's not here. It's in my actual lesson. And then we go on to talk about the different types of Spanish food. For example, paella is a really famous Spanish dish, and it's made in a big pan so that everybody can share. And here's a whole bunch of questions that you can talk to your students about, like, have you heard of this dish before? If not, do you want to try it? Do you think this is easy to make or not? Why? Why not? Right? And if you were to make paella, what would you put inside, right? What kind of seafood, what kind of vegetables, etc. And get the student to read this so that you can gauge their level of understanding, and you can listen to their intonation, the pronunciation, and etc. And you can ask questions like by looking at this picture and by reading this, ask a student, do you think that this is a one-person meal or is this something for sharing? Okay. Next one, example, tapas, right? They're small dishes. They're great for finger foods or for parties. Talk to students about that, ask them, like, do you think they're good for party foods? Why or why not? Okay. And so here, and then go on to talk about the Spanish tradition. For example, the flamenco dance. And you talk about this girl, right, wearing the long wet dress with ruffles. So if your student is a girl, ask the student, do you have any ruffle dresses, right? And then ask them to explain or describe the pictures, like what colors the dress, what is she holding in her hand. Do like in Asian cultures, they do have paper fans too. So ask them, like, do you have a paper fan, and what does the man wear, right? So ask them and talk to them about the picture as well. And then here I go on to talk about the Spanish traditions and their beliefs, and I mainly introduce three of them, right? The first one, the second one, and the third one in detail. So for example, this one on New Year's Eve, the Spanish people, they like to eat 12 grapes at midnight, right? It's really one grape for each month of the new year, and it's believed to bring them good luck. So talk to your students, follow the prompts, and ask them, like, what do you do on New Year's Eve? How do the people in your country bring in good luck? Okay, and the next one that I introduce is the little tooth mouse. So talk about what it does, right? So the boy, loses a tooth, hides it under the pillow, and the mouse comes over, leaves a bag of gold or some gifts, and takes the tooth away. And you can ask your student, in your culture, do you have anything like that? Like, are there any tooth fairies or any, characters that, that's similar to this little tooth mouse. The next one is introduce the three wise men, right? They are known to they're believed to ride camels, and they come and deliver gifts to the children on January the 6th. And so ask your student, right? Do you get gifts on New Year's? And what's the best gift you've ever got? Okay. And the next one, I introduced the famous Spanish bullfighting event, right? It's a traditional event. Talk about, this bull, and, what does it do when it sees something red that's flashing in front of it, right? And so you can get the student to read this and find the answer here. And ask your student how they feel about bullfighting. Like, if they're, one day, if they go to Spain, would they watch it? And do they think this is exciting, scary? Get them to express their emotions, explain. And also talk about the tomato throwing festival, which is very famous in August every year, and then ask your student, like, is there anything like fun to do in August or in July, right, in your country, and ask them to explain, and ask them like, would you join this event? Do you think this is fun, or do you think this is just very dirty and messy? Okay, and would you stay after to clean up the streets because these people they're supposed to stay after and clean up. Next, I talk about the famous explorers from the past. How these people, they would, they would sail on, across the ocean to find new land. And then as a result, Spanish. There are a long time ago, Spain conquered many places in the world, and there were many Spanish colonies. And here's a map of that. You can get the student to talk about that. And I also talk about, some the famous Spanish artists like Picasso, and ask them to describe this piece of art. Like, are you into abstract art? Like, what do you see in this painting? Lastly, talk about their national sport, which is soccer. That the people's love for soccer, and and etc. And then finally, there's a conclusion or a summary. So have your student give a summary or a wrap up of what they have learned, and this is just more time for speaking. And I have like practice questions. So for example, here is a true false questions. Get the student to read this, right? And if it's true, fine. If it's false, get them to give you the correct answer. They can do this at home, and then they can present it to you afterwards. I mean, the next in the next class, or however you want to arrange it with the student. So another one here, you match the words to the pictures, and then after that, use those words and fill in the blanks, right, for these sentences. And answers keys are also provided. So if you're interested, come and visit my store. I do sell individual lessons, and also they come in packages. All right, and my link is in the bio. Bye.